But one-step linear equations are not just additions and subtractions. We also have multiplications and divisions. Well, actually, we have many different operations in one-step linear equations. As long as it is just one step, it counts as one-step linear equations. So let's look at this problem. Still, our objective is always to isolate that x. We want that x, or whatever variable it is, to be fully by itself. In this case, it's not by itself because the 4 is next to the x. So we need to move that 4. We need to eliminate that 4 from the left side and move it to the right side because it's not letting the x to be by itself. And one more time, what we're going to be using is the inverse operation, or the opposite. First thing we need to notice is in algebra, when a number is next to a variable or a number is next to a letter like this, like 4x, there is nothing in between them, just 4x. This means multiplication. In algebra, every time we see a number next to a letter is a multiplication, or a number next to a variable. So now that we know that the 4 is multiplying the x, we can tell that the opposite of a multiplication is a division. So if we have 4x, we need to divide by 4. And remember, opposites in algebra cancel. So we can cancel the 4 on the x and the 4 on the bottom of the x. But the problem is not over because of the golden rule of algebra. If we divided by 4 on the left side, we need to divide by 4 on the right side. After that, just do the operation. 12 divided by 4 is 3. The x is by itself, so x equals 3 on this problem. Let's try one more time. Then again, we're solving for x. We need that x to be by itself. The 2 is not letting the x to be by itself. That means we need to do inverse operation to remove that 2 from the left side. As we learned in the basic algebra course, a fraction is the same as a division. So we identify that this is a division. This is x divided by 2. And the opposite of a division is a multiplication. That means we need to multiply times 2. Why are we multiplying times 2? So we can cancel them, because opposites cancel in algebra. But, golden rule of algebra, what we do on one side, we must also do it on the other. So multiply times 2. Yes, we have repeated a lot about the golden rule of algebra, but we have to do it. It's very important we remember always about that golden rule. What we do on one side, we must repeat it on the other. And after that, just do 13 times 2, which is 26. The x is by itself, so x is equal to 26. And yes, we're going to, for this level of the course, we're going to stop at multiplications and divisions. So we did additions, subtractions, multiplications, and divisions. For Unit 3, this is enough. But let's focus on a couple of special cases, like in this one. It's very similar to the first one we did, but now the 4 is negative. What's going to happen? Well, let's start with what we know. We're solving for x, that x needs to be by itself. The negative 4 is not letting it be by itself. So we have to do inverse operation. One more time, that 4 is next to the x. There is nothing between the 4 and the x. So that makes them a multiplication. And the opposite of multiplication is division. So let's divide by 4 so we can cancel them. But there is a little detail, which is this is not just 4, this is negative 4. So for multiplications and divisions, we have to keep the sign. So if we have a negative 4, we must divide by negative 4. So for multiplications and divisions, we keep the sign of the number. Multiplying by negative 4, divide by negative 4. Why? Because if we don't have the negative, they are not going to cancel. We need the negative with the number. So that's why we keep it. That's why we keep it, so we can cancel the negative 4s. But one more time, we divided by negative 4 on the left. We have to divide by negative 4 on the right. And now we do 12 divided by negative 4. Remember rules of signs. 12 divided by negative 4 is negative 3. The x is by itself, so x equals negative 3. Let's do one more example, very similar to the second example we did. X divided by negative 2. We're solving for x. That x needs to be by itself. The negative 2 is not letting it be by itself. So we have to do inverse operation to remove that negative 2 from the left side. One more time, fractions are divisions. And the opposite of division is a multiplication. So if we have a 2 dividing, we have to make a 2 multiplying. But then again, one more time, and it's very important we don't forget this, for multiplications and divisions, we have to keep the sign. So we have to make it a negative 2 multiplying. Because if we don't multiply by negative 2, it's not going to cancel. We need them to be canceled because we need the x to be by itself. And finally, the golden rule, what we do on one side, we must do it on the other, so we must multiply times negative 2 on the right side as well. Then 13 times negative 2, rules of signs in multiplications, x equals negative 26, and this is the answer because the x is by itself.